Good morning. I'll call the July 13th, 2017 meeting of the New York State Fire Prevention and Building Code Council to order. We'll begin with a roll call attendance. Gerard?
Designee for Secretary Rosado, Matt Devo.
I'm here.
Designee for State Fire Administrator, Paul Martin.
Present.
Designee Joseph Palazola for Acting Commissioner Bruce Ann Bisnaskis.
Yes.
Here. Commissioner for Designee for Commissioner Robert Reardon, Vincent Rabatulo.
Here.
Designee for the Honorable Bill de Blasio, Gwen.
Here.
Michael Sabatino.
Here.
Tom Chesney.
Here.
Designee for Judith Kennedy. William Clucker.
Here.
William Pine.
Here.
Patrick Dolan.
Here.
Dominic Marinelli.
Here.
That's 11. We have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum. Several announcements. Agenda item. First, thank everybody for moving the meeting a month. Last month we were pretty tight on quorum, so we needed to move it to give ourselves what we needed to. Business today. Also, I'm going to announce now that agenda item 5, the fourth bullet, Town of Huron Local Law number 2 of 2015, we're going to pull and put up likely at the September 27th. Okay. Moving to agenda item 2, it's on January 23rd, 2017. You all received this in your packets by email on Friday. Are there any amendments needed to the minutes of January 23rd? Okay. Hearing none, we'll take it up as a voice vote. All in favor of adopting the minutes of January 23rd, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The minutes of January 23rd are adopted. All right, down to business. Agenda item number 3, notice of adoption for 19 NYCRR parts 1220 through 1228 and parts 1264 and 1265, otherwise known as the supplement, 2017 supplement. Nick, why don't you get up and give us a quick assessment of the public comments that we received in the last few months as part of the rulemaking process.
Good morning. So on April 5th, you were emailed a redline version of the Uniform Code Supplement. That version depicted all the changes to the supplement up to the point that it was submitted to the State Register back in March. In your packets for this agenda item, you received a new redline supplement. So this new version depicts all the changes that were made to the supplement after it was submitted to the State Register in March. So this new redline version, coupled with the version that you received back in April, collectively depict all the changes that are being made to the 2016 Uniform Code Supplement. On April 5th, the notice of proposed rulemaking was posted in the State Register, thereby commencing the public comment period. If you've had a chance to take a look at the summary of comments, the division assessed 73 comments. Nearly half of the assessed comments were not in response to the proposed changes to the supplement, but instead were in response to the original 2016 supplement. So you can look at half of the assessed comments as just carryover comments from the last uniform. Something you should be aware of, if we receive multiple comments all stating the same thing, those comments are collectively counted as one comment. So that being said, we assessed one comment in support of adopting water-reducing plumbing fixtures. That one assessed comment was a consolidation of about 200 emails, letters, and signatures voting support for the adoption of the WaterSense fixtures. The department received many comments requesting some pretty big changes to the supplement, to the code. Examples of which include a complete reformatting of the supplement and modifications to New York State solar provisions. because these requests were either too bulky or would constitute a substantial revision, which we are not prepared to make, the request modification is not made. They will, however, be revisited at a future code update. So I don't really have anything else to say. Like I said, half of the comments were just based on the adoption a couple years ago. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, are there any questions in Albany for Nick on the supplement? Hearing none. Are there any in New York? Any questions for Nick from New York? None. From Buffalo? None. Okay, Nick. Thank you.
Slam dunk?
Slam dunk. All right, I'm going to ask, due to John Flanagan's absence, I'm going to ask Joe to read a potential motion on this, and then we'll see if anybody wants to make that motion. Joe?
Thank you. I'm going to read this in the first person. Obviously, I am not making the motion. I'm just going to make a suggested motion that a member of the code council, he or she is agreeable, could make on behalf of him or herself. Suggested motion is as follows. First, I move, one, that the code council find and determine that the amendment of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Building Code, Uniform Code, to be implemented by the adoption of the rule identified in Agenda Item 3, Uniform Code Update, will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization. And two, that Gerard Hathaway be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Code Council and the Department of State, with respect to such rule adoption, the State Environmental Quality Review Act Short Environmental Assessment Form, the State Environmental Quality Review Act Negative Declaration, the New York State Department of State Coastal Management Program Coastal Assessment Form, and the certification of no significant coastal impact. So moved.
Is there any member to make that motion? Okay. Vincent makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Paul seconds. Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. I will ask Gerard to call the roll.
Matt Tebow,
Aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Rappucciola,
Yes.
Keith Wen,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino,
Yes.
Thomas Luchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye.
William Tyne,
Aye.
Patrick Dolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
Unanimous, 11, the motion passes.
Thank you, Gerard. All right, Joe for the second motion.
Okay. Second motion, a rule to amend the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, the Uniform Code, was proposed by notice of proposed rulemaking published in the State Register on April 5th, 2017. The rule, as proposed, would have incorporated by reference a publication entitled 2017 Uniform Code Supplement, published by the New York State Department of State, publication date March 2017. And following receipt and analysis of public comments received, the Code Council has determined that it will make certain changes to the rule as originally proposed. Such changes to be reflected by incorporating by reference a revised version of the 2017 Uniform Code Supplement, such revised version having a publication date of July 2017. I move, one, that the Code Council find and determine that for the purposes of the State Administrative Procedure Act, the changes made to the rule as originally proposed do not constitute a substantial revision to the rule as originally proposed. Two, that the rule to amend the Uniform Code in the form of the NYCRR text presented at this meeting, which incorporates by reference the revised version of the 2017 Uniform Code Supplement, having a publication July 2017 be approved and adopted. And 3, that pursuant to Executive Law Section 378-15A, this rule and the changes made to the Uniform Code by this rule shall be effective on the 90th day after notice of adoption of this rule shall have been published in the State Register. So moved.
Do I have a member that would like to make that motion?
Yes,
All right, Vincent makes the motion. Second?
Second.
Paul seconds the motion. Gerard, when you're ready, please call the roll.
very good. Matt Tebow,
Aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Repicciolo,
Yes.
Keith Wen,
Yes.
Thomas Luchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye.
William Tyne,
Yes.
Patrick Nolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino,
Yes.
we have a unanimous 11, the motion is approved.
With that, we've approved the 2017 supplement. I'll just take a point of, a moment here and just say thank you to the staff, especially for all the hard work that they put in. I know it's been a long year on this. I want to thank Nick specifically, Miriam, Gerard, Joe, Peniota. Great job. Thank you all. And especially I will thank the council for their indulgences over the last year to get to this point. Okay, agenda item number 4, 19 NYCRR, Part 1240, State Energy Conservation Construction Code, Notice of Adoption. I don't know if there's a need for Miriam to get up and talk about it. This is just a very simple technical change to the code. Is there any discussion on that simple change? All right. Hearing none. Joe, would you read the possible first motion here?
Yes, the proposed motion would be followed. I move Code Council find and determine that the amendment of the State Energy Conservation Construction Code, the Energy Code, to be implemented by the adoption of the rule identified in Agenda Item 4, Energy Code Update. It could environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, significant resource of statewide significance, agricultural land or area included in an approved local water revitalization program. And 2, that Gerard Hathaway be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Code Council and the Department of State with respect to such adoption. The State Environmental Quality Review Act Short Environmental Assessment Form, State Environmental Quality Act Nature Declaration, the New York State Department of State Coastal Management Program Coastal Assessment Form, and the Certification of Coastal Impact. So moved.
Do I have a member that would like to make that motion? Tom makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Paul seconds the motion. And whenever you're ready, Gerard, could you please call the roll?
Okay. Matt Tebow,
Aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Repicciolo,
Yes.
Keith Wen,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino,
Yes.
Thomas Luchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye.
William Tyne,
Aye.
Patrick Nolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Joe, second motion.
The proposed second motion would be a rule to amend the State Energy Conservation Construction Code, the Energy Code, was proposed by notice of proposed rulemaking published in the State Register on April 5th, 2017. The rule as proposed would have incorporated by reference a publication entitled 2017 Uniform Code Supplement, published by the New York State Department of State, date March 2017. And following an analysis of public comments received, the Code Council has determined that it will make changes to as proposed. Such changes reflected by incorporating by reference a revised version of the 2017 Uniform Code Supplement, such revised version having a publication date of July 2017. I move, one, that the Code Council find and determine that for the purposes of the State Administrative Procedure Act, change the rule as originally proposed not constitute a substantial revision to the rule as originally proposed. Two, that the rule to amend the Energy Code in the form of the NYCRR text presented at this meeting, which incorporates by reference the revised version of the 2017 Code Supplement, having a publication July 2017, be approved and adopted. And rule 3, the rule and the changes made by this rule shall be effective on the 90th day after publication of the notice of adoption of this rule in the state register. So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have a Code Council member that wants to make that motion? Tom makes the motion. Second?
Second.
Paul seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Gerard, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Matt Tebow,
Aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Rappiolo,
Yes.
Keith Wynn,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino,
Yes.
Thomas Luchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye.
William Tyne,
Yes.
Patrick Dolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Excellent. So we've taken care of that spot of business. Great. Moving on to agenda item number 5. More restrictive local standards, Uniform Code under Executive Law Section 379. As I pointed out earlier, we're dropping Town of Huron, but we still have Town of Sullivan, Local Law number 4 of 2014. The Village of Middleburg, Local Law number 1 of 2014. And Village of Wesley Hills, Local Law number 2 of 2016. I'm going to take these up one at a time. I think what we'll do is we'll have Miriam come up. She'll give us the brief on each one. We'll take the vote, and then we'll move to the next one. So, Miriam, if you would start with the Town of Sullivan, that would be excellent.
Sullivan submitted a petition for a local law 4 of 2014, a couple of years ago. The local law did not contain a finding of special conditions. In part, they were trying to move things they had in their zoning law into a building code. They added a new provision about sheetrock. They added a provision requiring sheetrock similar to what's in the uniform code, but they require 5/8 fires sheetrock instead of the half-inch sheetrock under stairs and floors as in the uniform code. You've all received the analysis of the petition, and are there any questions?
Are there any questions in Albany on the petition with regard to the Town of Sullivan? None. New York? And Buffalo? None. Before we go any further, Miriam, could you just remind the council about the sort of rules, the statutory basis to approve or deny
Sure. The statutory basis is there as per Executive Law Article 378, a local community may have a more restrictive local standard if it complies with a few things. It has to be the more restrictive local standard has to be more restrictive than code. I probably should have added there is an exception to the sheetrock provision in this law that is not more restrictive. The local law also has to be justified due to a special condition, and the provision should be implemented in order to alleviate the safety concerns or the concerns caused by the special condition. The special condition does not have to be unique, it only needs to be special with respect to the state.
Thank you, Miriam. Okay, Joe, if you could read a motion.
Once again, a proposed motion, there's a preamble and an emotion. On or about May 7th, 2014, the town of Sullivan, the town, enacted local law number 4 of 2014, the local law. Section 5 of the local law includes 6 subdivisions which impose standards for construction in the town. On or about June 4th, 2014, the supervisor of the town submitted a copy of the local law and a petition relating to the local law, the petition, to the Code Council pursuant to executive laws in Section 379. I move as follows. First, I move that the Code Council determine pursuant to executive law Section 379(1) that the standards imposed by subdivisions 1, 2, and 5 of Section 5 of the local law are more stringent and more restrictive than the standards imposed by the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, the Uniform Code. Second, I move that the Code Council find, pursuant to executive law Section 379(2), that the town has failed to demonstrate that the standards imposed by subdivisions 1, 2, and 5 in Section 5 of the local law are reasonably necessary because of special conditions prevailing within the town. Third, based on the foregoing finding, I move that the Code Council deny the town's request that the Code Council adopt or approve the standards imposed by subdivisions 1, 2, and 5 in Section 5 of the local law. Fourth, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to executive law Section 379(1), that the standards imposed by subdivision 6 in subsection 5 of the local law are less stringent and less restrictive than the standards imposed by the Uniform Code. Fifth, I move that the Code Council find, pursuant to executive law Section 379(2), that the town has failed to demonstrate that the standards imposed by subdivision 6 in subdivision 5 of the local law, subdivision 6 in section 5 of the local law are reasonably necessary because of special conditions prevailing within the town. Sixth, based on the foregoing determination and finding, I move that the Code Council deny the town's request that the Code Council adopt or approve the standards imposed by subdivision 6 in section 5 of the local law. And seventh, I find that the Code Council find and determine that the standards imposed by subdivisions 3 and 4 in section 5 of the local law relate to matters as to which the Uniform Code does not provide and may continue to be enforced by the town to the extent permitted by other applicable law, provided that subdivision 4 is enforced in addition to, and not in substitute for or limitation of, the minimum room area requirement set forth in the Uniform Code. So moved.
Do I have a member that would like to make that motion? Paul makes the motion. Do I have a second? Ben seconds the motion. That's a long motion. Is there any discussion on this before we move forward? Hearing none and seeing none. Gerard, if you could call the roll.
Matt Tebow.
Aye.
Paul Martin. Aye. Joseph Palazzolo.
Aye.
Vincent Ravicholo.
Yes.
Keith Wen.
Yes.
Michael Sabatino.
Yes.
Thomas Lucchesi.
Yes.
William Tucker.
Yes.
William Tyne.
Aye.
Patrick Dolan.
Yes.
Dominic Brunelli.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Motion carries. All right, agenda 5, second bullet, Village of Middleburg.
The Village of Middleburg submitted a petition for a more restrictive local standard with respect to Uniform Code in 2016. More restrictive standard for the Village of Middleburg was a local law for high weeds, grass, and brush control. It is similar to, but different than the standards in the property maintenance code. The village failed to provide a finding of special condition or a finding that these standards were related to a special condition. And the village has indicated that they are, that they are happy to enforce the wording in the uniform code rather than the wording here.
All right. Are there any questions for Miriam? Okay. Hearing none and seeing none. Joe, if you could read a potential motion for us?
Could I just add something to
Sure,
what
of
Miriam
course.
said? In this case, the village submitted 2 petitions. But quick background, for those who are not familiar, any city, town, village, or county that adopts a local law is required to file that local law with the Department of State. It's without regard to what topic is covered by that local law. It's a requirement of the municipal home rule law. It is in addition to the executive law requirements to submit that. It deals with more restrictive local standards to the code council. So this case was the village submitted a local law to our state pursuant to the municipal home rule law. That's a petition related to that local law to the Department of State, Codes Division. And then later they submitted a second petition, which included a different version of the same local law, a version that was never filed pursuant to the municipal home rule law.
And the mayor does not know why the person who filed that.
It remains a mystery, but if you'll bear with us, because 2 petitions were received, there will be motions that deal with both petitions. And surprise, spoiler alert, they will come to the same conclusion.
Thank you, Joe.
On or about July 24th, 2014, the Village of Middleburg, the village, enacted local law number 1 of 2014, the local law which requires the occupant or owner of each parcel of land in the village to cut, mow, or remove all grass, weeds, brush, and briars thereon by 10 inches or more between April 15th and October 15th of each year. The law was filed with the Department of State's record unit pursuant to the municipal home rule law on August 4th, 2014. On or about August 8th, 2014, the mayor of the village submitted a copy of the local law and a petition relating to the local law, the first petition, to the Code Council pursuant to Executive Law, Section 379. On or about September 30th, 2014, the mayor of the village submitted a petition, the second petition, to the Code Council. The second petition included a version of the local law that differed from the version of the local law that was actually filed by the village pursuant to the municipal home rule law. With respect to the first petition, I move as follows. First, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to Executive Law, Section 379(1), that the standards imposed by the local law are less stringent and less restrictive than the standards imposed by the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, the Uniform Code. Second, I move that the Code Council find, pursuant to Executive Law Section 379(2), that the village has failed to demonstrate that the standards imposed by the local law are reasonably necessary because of special conditions prevailing within the village. And third, based on the foregoing determination and finding, I move that the Code Council deny the village's request that the Code Council adopt and approve the standards imposed by the local law. And with respect to the second petition, I follow. First, I move that the Code Council find and determine that the second petition does not give notice of the version of the local law that was actually enacted by the village and filed by the village pursuant to the municipal home rule law, and that the second petition was not filed within 30 days after enactment of the local law. Second, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to Executive Law Section 379(1), that the standards imposed by the version of the local law submitted with the second petition are less stringent and less restrictive than the standards imposed by the Uniform Code. Third, I Code Council find, pursuant to Executive Law Section 379(2), that the village failed to demonstrate that the standards imposed by the version of the local law submitted with the second petition are reasonably necessary because of special conditions prevailing within the village. And fourth, and mercifully last, based on the foregoing determined findings, I move that the Code Council deny the village's request that the Code Council adopt the standards imposed by the version of the law submitted second petition. So moved.
Thank you, Joe, for that mouthful. Is there any member that would like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Tom makes the motion. Any seconds?
Second.
Paul seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on that mouthful before we move forward to a vote? All right, hearing none. Gerard, if you could call the roll, please.
Matt Tebow,
Aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Rappucciolo,
Yes.
Keith Wen,
Yes.
Thomas Lucchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye.
William Tang,
Yes.
Patrick Dolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino.
Yes.
I've got to change the way your name is put in here. I keep skipping over it. It's too close to the other. The motion carried.
Gerard. All right, number 3, the Village of Wesley Hills, local law, number 2 of 2016. Miriam Fireway.
In 2016, the Village of Wesley Hills submitted a petition to the Code Council for local law to enact the local building and fire code law in the Village of Wesley Hills. The village has indicated that they will, are withdrawing the petition. However, they did submit the petition. They did not file the petition with New York State corporations either. So in this case, as per the recommendation, they provided no finding of special condition. The petition is based on the 2010 Uniform Code rather than the 2017 Uniform Code. They did not provide an analysis comparing provisions to the Uniform Code. It contains provisions that are less restrictive than the Uniform Code, as well as ones that are more restrictive, and it was not submitted by the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Miriam. Okay, we're gonna take this one up, even though they're going to withdraw it. We're gonna take it up anyway, because as we know in New York State, if you, as a municipality, pass your local law and file it, and then come to us, you can enforce it until such time as we act. So, even though they're withdrawing, it's a good idea for us to just dispose of it by the normal means. So, I'm going to ask Joe to read a potential motion.
Excuse me. On or about May 3rd, 2016, the Village of Wesley Hills, the village, enacted local law number 2 of 2016, the local law, which contains provisions designated by the village as the Village of Wesley Hills Fire Prevention Code. It appears that the village may not have filed the local law as required by the municipal home rule law. On or about May 17th, 2016, the village submitted a copy of the local law and a petition relating to the local law to the Code Council pursuant to Executive Law, Section 379. I move as follows. First, I move that the Code Council find, pursuant to Executive Law, Section 379, that without regard to whether the village did or did not file the local law as required by the municipal home law, the village has failed to demonstrate that the standards imposed by the local law are reasonably necessary in the village because of special conditions prevailing within the village. And second, based on the foregoing granting, I move that the Code Council deny the village's request not to approve the standards imposed by the local law. So moved.
Okay, do I have a member that would like to make that motion? Tom makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Paul seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on this? All right, I'll actually step in here and just note, council, that there is currently a bill before the governor that will change the rubric for more restrictive local standards. If the governor were to sign that bill, in the future, a more restrictive local standard will not take effect until such time as this council votes. So it will completely shift it in the opposite direction. If any member of this council wants to write to the governor's council about that, because it will come up later this summer, or in the fall for a governor's decision, they can contact me. I'll give you the address and the contact information. All right. Let's see. We did discussion, so we're on to. Please call the roll.
Matt Stroh.
Aye.
Paul Martin.
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo.
Aye.
Bishop Pepperell.
Yes.
Keith Wen.
Yes.
Mike Sabatino.
Yes.
Thomas Lucchesi.
Yes.
William Tucker.
Yes.
William Tyne.
Yes.
Patrick Dolan.
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, that disposes of the Village of Wesley Hills. Moving on to agenda item number 6, more restrictive local standards, Energy Code, Energy Law, Section 11-109. First one up is the Town of Southampton, Local Law Number 11 of 2016. Miriam.
Okay, this has different rules than Executive Law Article 379. I made a mistake, 78 before, but according to the energy law also provides provisions for local community to have more restrictive local standards. It does not require special conditions. So in case you don't look for findings of special conditions or anything. The other thing is all of you, for those of you who've been on the council for a while, we have not in the past looked at a lot of energy, more restrictive local standards. That's because in 2011, the energy law was changed so that the Code Council provided for the Code Council to make determinate whether the law is more restrictive or less restrictive. Passed only if the Code Council found it less restrictive would it come in front of the Code Council. Yeah, that is noisy.
Well, can you mute? We can hear you guys, this paper shifting. Thank you.
So the Code Council has only heard a couple of more restrictive energy laws in the past. The language in the energy law, Article 11, Section 109, provides that any municipality which adopts a local energy conservation construction code in accordance with this section shall file a copy with the Code Council within 30 days after adopting the law. And it says if the municipality files within 30 days, within such 30-day time period, the municipality may enforce the local code until or unless the Code Council determines such local law is not more restrictive than the code. If the municipality fails to file such copy within 30 days, the municipality may not enforce such local code amendment or revision until the Code Council determines that the local law is more restrictive than the code. So while there is a 30-day time period, if the municipality files after 30 days, the local law can still be approved as long as it is more restrictive. And in this case, we have two local laws in front of us, one of which was filed within the 30-day time period and the other wasn't. The first one we're looking at is the town of East Hampton. And these two are very similar, so I think the discussion here will be...
Miriam, we're doing Southampton first.
Oh, Southampton first? Okay, sorry. They're very similar in that they both have the requirement that for any new residence constructed in the town, or any newly built or substantially reconstructed subject dwelling as defined by their code must be rated by an independent residential energy service network certified home energy rating system rater. So that's the acronyms for that are the HERS rater, that's for our home energy rating system. And the protocol set out by ResNet is a well-accepted energy rating system. It is the system that the section of the Energy Code was based on. There's in the Energy Code residential section, there are 3 paths to meet the code, and one of which is the Energy Rating Index System. The Energy Rating Index System was developed to allow the HERS rating system and the ResNet rating systems to be a compliance path, and it requires, it's about 10% more energy efficient than the other 2 paths, one of which is the prescriptive path, and the other is a compliant, there's another compliance path that I'm not going to go into. But so basically the energy rating index path is about 10% more restricted or more energy efficient than the other paths. However, the HERS path, as it was developed during the ICC process, the HERS path really isn't exactly the same as the ERI path, even though it was probably partly developed in order to allow HERS and other similar rating systems. They're slightly different. They have the same intent and some similar rating mechanism, but there are a couple differences. Back to what Southampton and East Hampton are trying to do, what they said is that the HERS rater must attest that the HERS index of the home is 54 or less for dwellings of up to 4,500 square feet. The energy rating index in the code, in the energy code, provides the same 54 number. As again, numbers are created in a slightly different method. They have a more restrictive provision that a home over 35 or over 4,500 square feet has to have a HERS index of 35 or less. The lower your HERS number or energy rating index number, the more energy efficient your home. So by saying that large homes over 4,500 square feet have to meet a lower index number, they're making it be significantly more energy efficient. The number is, as the numbers go, 100 is the, like the base home is the energy efficiency required by the 2006 IECC, or the last version of the New York State Energy Code. The zero, so that's the 100 of the scale. The 0 part of the scale is a home that has net zero energy. So that could be a home that gets all its energy from solar panels or some on-site generation system and doesn't, bring in any energy to the home. So 54 is about, a little over half the energy from that 0 to 100, and 35 is about a third of it. Southampton, actually I get these a little mixed up. So Southampton, Southampton failed to file their copy within 30 days of the 30-day time period. So they're, at this point, they're not enforcing this local law. If the Code Council finds that their local law is more restrictive than the Energy Code, they will start enforcing. The summary of the staff analysis is that this local law is more restrictive, subject to certain conditions. And if you look at the second page of the analysis, I'm not going to read through those conditions. But basically, if they enforce the Energy Code, which they intend to, then this local law is more restrictive than the Energy Code. They do have, their town code provides for them enforcing the Energy Code. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions, New York or Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the differences that you explained at the beginning with respect to the ability of the town to enforce a more restrictive standard with respect to the Energy Code. They just they do not have to determine that there's a reason that warrants it for their community to justify it. They can just simply do it, and we really, as long as it's more restrictive, are to sanction that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's correct. There's no special condition need. The town can just have a desire to require more energy efficient buildings or homes.
Okay.
Hello, this is Mike Benacasa, Chief Building Inspector for the Town of Southampton. May I speak?
Sure, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, so just a little bit of background on our energy code. We adopted an Energy Star code way back in 2008, with just about the rest of the island, that was approved by you folks. Our code, though, went a few steps further. I think back then it wasn't an index with score, and the beginning score was like 73. We adopted 70, and we had a tiered system that was based on the LIPA model, where the larger homes would have a more progressive score. We had public hearings, the builders weighed in, Long Island Builders Institute. We have multiple hearings, and at the end of the day, the community signed on, as well as the building industry. So we went forward with that more progressive code. Back in 2016, when the state ramped up their energy code, we had to lower our score or change our code, because your code, well, the state code, became more restrictive. So we looked at our code again. We said, okay, the 54 is state mandated. That's more progressive than our code, so we need to meet that. Except Southampton's and East Hampton, it's a very unique place. We have, our average home there is over 4,500 square foot. We have homes up to 12,000, 15,000 square foot. You go into the utility room, and you would think you're in the basement of the Empire State Building. So the way the town felt is, we don't have a problem with larger homes, but the folks that own those homes and build those homes need to be responsible. So we looked at our code. We had an index of 35 all along for homes over 6,500 square foot. From what I was hearing from the industry, some engineers and raters, it was doable on 4,500 square foot homes in larger. PV might have to be employed, certainly geothermal. These homes are very energy efficient. Again, the industry had no issues, and we put forth this code for homes over 4,500 square foot, having to score an index of 35. The only concern I think your staff had was with our historic homes. Once a home is landmarked and it's on a national register, it's hands off for us. Although the code's not really specific on that, that is the case. We consider a home with historic significance being a home that was built before 1941, which a lot of homes built, in the 40s don't have historic significance. So our code talked about historically significant homes. They could apply for a waiver. And what kicks in there is taking out 50% of the windows and doors, 50% of the HVAC system, and all of the interior wall coverings that cover the exterior framing where your insulation would be. Very seldom does a historic home get to that level, otherwise it wouldn't be historic anymore. So we really don't see any problems. Our historic board, landmarks board's on board, and we feel very strongly about energy conservation out on the East End because of some of the issues we have with electricity supply. So we're trying to be proactive.
Thank you. Miriam, anything to add? Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions for Miriam or Michael? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask Joe to read a potential motion.
Once again, I'm going to ask just to add a little bit by way of an explanation beforehand. The executive law authorizes local governments to adopt more restrictive standards, kind of on a standard by standard basis with respect to the Uniform Code. The executive law, the energy law provides that local governments can adopt a higher or more restrictive code. It sounds like they're talking about adopting an entire energy code. I believe, and Mr. Wayne can probably confirm this, New York City typically does that. They adopt a New York City energy code which is all-encompassing. It is certainly my belief and assumption that neither Southampton nor East Hampton intend these code provisions that they have submitted to constitute the entire energy code for those towns. However, just to make that abundantly clear, I've written very murky language in these motions that says, our consideration of them is based on the assumption and subject to the condition that the provisions submitted by the towns in these cases be kind of considered to be on top of the New York State Energy Code and not to be by themselves the entire energy code for these towns. Hope that might make some of what you're about to be subjected to a little more clear.
Fire away, Joe.
All right, so the town of Southampton, the town adopted local law number 11 of 2016, a local law which amends the town code of Southampton, the town code, by adding and or amending town code section 123-37, the home energy rating index requirements, in Article 5 of Chapter 123 of Part 2 of the Town Code. Article 5 of Chapter 123 of Part 2 of the Town Code, as amended by the local law, is hereinafter referred to as the town's energy conservation requirements. The town has submitted the local law to the Code Council for review pursuant to Subdivision 2 of Section 11-109 of the Energy Law. I move as follows. First, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to Subdivision 2 of Section 11-109 of the Energy Law, that the town's energy conservation requirements are more restrictive than the State Energy Conservation Construction Code, the State Energy Code, provided that the town's energy conservation requirements are at all times interpreted and enforced by the town Landmarks, Parks, and Historic Districts Board, and the town's chief building inspector, by the town's Energy Conservation Administrative Appeals Board, and by all courts having jurisdiction, in accordance with each of the following conditions. 1, no provision or requirement of the State Energy Code is repealed, replaced, lessened, amended, or otherwise affected in any manner whatsoever by the town's energy conservation requirements, and the State Energy Code continues to apply in full force and effect in the town. 2, the provisions and requirements of the town's energy conservation requirements are in addition to, and not in substitution for or limitation of, the provisions and requirements of the State Energy Code. 3, except as otherwise provided in the State Energy Code, the State Energy Code applies to all buildings in the town, including but not limited to all subject dwellings as defined in the town code in the town. 4, except as otherwise provided by the State Energy Code, all buildings in the town must comply with the State Energy Code, and all subject dwellings in the town must comply with both the State Energy Code and the town's energy conservation requirements. 5, in the case of a subject dwelling, compliance with the town's energy conservation requirements alone shall not constitute full compliance with the Energy Rating Index, ERI, compliance path described in Section R406 of the 2015 International Energy Conservation Code, as amended by the 2016 Energy Code Supplement, the 2015 IECC as amended, and a subject dwelling using Section R406 compliance path must comply with all parts of Section R406, including Section R406.2, which requires compliance with certain mandatory provisions, set forth in other sections of the 2015 IECC as amended, and section R 406.4, which requires in climate zone 4 that the rated design be shown to have an ERI less than or equal to 54 when compared to the ERI reference design. And 6, no waiver granted under Town Code Section 123-37C, no downgrade granted under Town Code Section 123-37D, and no decision or order made in any appeal taken under Town Code Section 123-39 can waive or modify any provision or requirement of the State Energy Code. And second, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to subdivision 2 of Section 11-109 of the Energy Law, that the town's energy conservation requirements are less restrictive than the State Energy Code if the town's energy conservation requirements are at any time interpreted and enforced by the town landmark and historic district board, by the town's chief building inspector, by the town's energy conservation administrative appeals board, and or by any court having jurisdiction in a manner that is inconsistent with any of the foregoing conditions. So moved.
Thank you, Joe, for that mouthful.
You sent them out.
Is there anybody, any member of the council that would like to make that motion?
Given that that's exactly what I was thinking of saying, I'll make that motion.
Well done, Paul. Thank you. Is there anybody who would like to second? Second. Is there any further discussion before we move to a vote? Hearing none. Gerard, when you're ready.
Okay. Matt Tebow,
Yes, I vote aye.
Paul Martin,
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo,
Aye.
Vincent Rappucciolo,
Yes.
Keith Wade,
Yes.
Michael Sabatino,
Yes.
Don Luchesi,
Yes.
William Tucker,
Aye. Reservation.
William Tyne,
Aye. Likewise.
Patrick Dolan,
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
Is that easy to do?
Okay, that takes care of the town of Southampton. Moving on to the town of East Hampton. Miriam.
The town of East Hampton is very similar. Again, they addressed having a HERS index number of 4 or less for dwellings up to 4,500 square feet of commercial space and 35 or less for dwellings over 4,500 square feet of space. One difference is that they submitted within 30 days, so they have been able to enforce this since they're filed. They filed both, with us and with the corporations part of BOS. They also have in their code provisions that require them to enforce not in this local law, but in the town code. They have provisions that require them to enforce the uniform code through that energy code. Much of the rest of this is the same as what we discussed in Southampton, so I'm not going to go over. It's the same staff recommendations.
Okay. Are there any questions for Miriam? Hearing none, Joe, I hope your voice is ready for another round.
Oh, sure. The town of East Hampton, the town, adopted local law number 6 of 2017, which amended and or added sections 102-24, 102-24A, and 102-24B of the East Hampton Town Code, and established an amended version of the East Hampton Town Energy Savings Program, the amended town program. The town has submitted the amended town program to the Code Council for review pursuant to subdivision 2 of section 11-109 of the Energy Law. I move as follows. First, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to subdivision 2 of section 11-109 of the Energy Law, that the amended town program is more restrictive than the State Energy Conservation Construction Code, the State Energy Code, provided that the amended town program is at all times interpreted and enforced by the town Architectural Review Board, by the town's principal building inspector, by the town's Energy Conservation Administrative Appeals Board, and by all courts having jurisdiction in accordance with each of the following conditions. 1, no provision or requirement of the State Energy Code is repealed, replaced, lessened, amended, or otherwise affected in any manner whatsoever by the amended town program, and the State Energy Code continues to apply in full force and effect in the town. 2, provisions and requirements of the amended town program are in addition to, and not in substitution for or limitation of, the provisions and requirements of the State Energy Code. 3, except as otherwise provided by the State Energy Code, the State Energy Code applies to all buildings in the town, including but not limited to all subject dwellings, as defined in section 102-24B of the town code, in the town. And 4, except as otherwise provided by the State Energy Code, all buildings in the town must comply with the State Energy Code, and all subject buildings in the town must comply with both the State Energy Code and the amended town program. 5, in the case of a subject dwelling, compliance with the amended town program alone shall not constitute full compliance with the Energy Rating Index, ERI, compliance path described in section R406 of the 2015 International Energy Conservation Code as amended by the 2016 Energy Code Supplement, the 2015 IECC as amended, and a subject dwelling using section R406 compliance path must comply with all parts of section R406, including section R4062, which requires compliance with certain mandatory provisions set forth in other sections of the 2015 IECC as amended, and section R4064, which requires that, in climate zone 4, the rated design be shown to have an ERI less than or equal to 54 when compared to the ERI reference design, and 6, no waiver granted under subdivision C of section 102-24 of the town code, no downgrade granted under subdivision D of section 102-24 of the town, and no decision or order made in any appeal taken under section 102-24A of the town code can waive or modify any provision or requirement of the State Energy Code. Second, I move that the Code Council determine, pursuant to subdivision 2 of section 11-109 of the Energy Law, that the amended town program is less restrictive than the State Energy Code if the amended town program is at any time interpreted and enforced by the town Architectural Review Board, by the town's principal building inspector, by the town's Energy Conservation Administrative Appeals Board, and/or by any court having jurisdiction in a manner that is inconsistent with any of the foregoing conditions. So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any member that would like to make that motion? Make a motion. Makes the motion. Any seconds?
So it's only close to what I was thinking this time. The best I could do is second.
Thank you, Paul.
I tried.
Is there any further discussion on this more restrictive local standard?
Yes. This is Bill Tyne in Buffalo. As the guidance has been read to us or explained to us earlier this morning, I don't see where we have much latitude on this motion like the one before it for Southampton. But I do have concerns and reservations that the Energy Code and the energy codes themselves, which are becoming more and more significant as the body of codes expands and it becomes a larger portion of the code, a more significant portion of the code, that it is effectively exempt from the rest of the more restrictive local standards issues that we're charged with reviewing and ensuring that we do have a uniform code across the state of New York. So this is sort of, it seems to me, an end round for communities that may have a laudable goal of having a better energy code, but the fact is it's supposed to be a uniform code. That's the whole point of reviewing the body of codes, to make sure they incrementally get better over time, and that people can afford to live in these communities. I recognize that the Hamptons are a very expensive place full of wealthy people, but we shouldn't get to a point where Riverhead is the place where the servants live, and it's the only kind of housing that they can afford can be built in those places, because those are the only places where you can comply with codes that are uniform, because they have a special section in this particular community, these two communities, which then sets a standard for the rest of the state. We really should have a uniform code, and I think there needs to be some mechanism to look at this portion of the code and the way energy codes are reviewed, consistent with the way we review the rest of the code.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Is there any other comments? All right, hearing none. Gerard, if you could call the roll.
Matt Tebow.
Aye.
Paul Martin.
Aye.
Joseph Palazzolo.
Aye.
Vince Ripcho.
Yes.
Keith Wen.
Yes.
Michael Sabatino.
Yes.
Thomas McChesney.
Yes.
William Tucker.
Aye.
William Tyne.
Yes.
Patrick Dolman.
Yes.
Dominic Marinelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and that concludes more restrictive local standards for today. I assume that we will see a lot more at the next meeting in September. Move us to agenda item number 7, public comment period. Do you have anybody on the list?
There is a gentleman, Keith Trippy in Buffalo, who had requested to speak.
He's not here.
Not there?
Okay.
Okay. I believe that is the only person who was slated to speak today.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council today? Okay, hearing none, agenda item 8, future meetings. Next meeting of the Code Council will be September 27th, 10 a.m., here, Buffalo, and New York City. Agenda item 9, other business. I don't have any at the desk at this time. Is there any other business before the council at this time? Hearing none. I'll move to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Second. Tom seconds. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.